Anime girls. They can come in all shapes, sizes, and types. From the, yes senpai, is there anything else I can do for you? To the, I will take the life of anyone who even smiles at you. I'm not crazy type. Understanding the nuances between all the types sounds kind of complicated, but it is necessary if you want to truly be a cultured anime fan, which is why I made the complete guide to anime girls, where we will not just be defining all the different types, but also finally putting an end to the waifu wars by deciding the de facto best and worst type. Cast your vote by letting us know your most and least favorite in the comments, and I'll let you know my answers at the end of the video. Okay, first we have kunderees. If you've ever crushed on the apathetic or emotionally distant girl in an anime, you most likely have a thing for this type. Kunderees often appear very calm or zoned out. They speak through subtle words and actions that can seem almost robotic, but everything they do is honest, so you can usually trust them. Though they do seem kinda cold, if you pay attention, you'll notice they care a lot and will eventually open up to you once you earn their trust. Think Toka from Tokyo Ghoul or the Queen Kundere herself, Rei from Evangelion. I also feel Nico Robin falls into this category. Next we have Himaderes. These are the girls with the princess complexes. They want to be treated like royalty even though most of the time they are not. They treat everyone like they are their subjects, especially their crush. Himaderes command things instead of asking, but even though they like to boss people around, deep down they are usually vulnerable or insecure girls. An example is Arena from Food Wars. But if you think Himaderes are full of themselves, wait till you learn about the Kamideres. They have a god complex and are always wanting to be the center of attention, literally expecting to be worshipped. Sometimes they actually are goddesses, which can make things worse because they actually have the power to make you obey, or you know, you might get smited or whatever. Mio from MM is a typical Kamidare. Next we have the Tsunderes.
It's not like I like you or anything. Have a nice day, Baka.
One of the most popular types of anime girls. Yes, they are mean and annoying, but the thing about them is, throughout the series, the more they learn to trust their crush, the more you get to see they are actually quite warm and soft on the inside. They are just terrible at expressing their true feelings, so they act tough to protect themselves from getting hurt. Basically, they might roast you hard, but they will love you harder. One of the reasons why I like a good tsundere in my anime is because their roller coaster of a personality creates comedic gold.
Comedy gold.
Some examples of classic tsunderes are Noelle from Black Clover, Taiga from Totoro, and Kagome from Inuyasha. Now, underes, they are the yes senpai type. They pretty much obey any and every request their crush or loved one makes, while ignoring all of the flags, even if they're as red as a devil's butt. In some instances, the request asked of them by their crush could harm them emotionally or physically, but they will do it anyway if it makes their person happy. The most famous example is Misa from Death Note. The Mayurderes are very interesting because they are villains who get love struck by the protagonist. Typically, they are a very dangerous antagonist that switches sides after falling for or sympathizing with someone on the hero's team. Now, they don't always switch teams, and in some cases, they will still fight you or even kill you, but they will still love you as they turn you to Casper. It's a complicated relationship. My favorite Mayurdere is by far Esdeath. I don't know why, but she still gives me chills. Get it? Chills? Never mind.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The Yandere or cat girl are cute anime girls that look and or act like a cat by copying their mannerisms. They're copycats. Okay, I'll stop. This type has grown in popularity over the years, but they do have some competition. The Inaderes. They are the puppy girls who act like your little pet, and they tend to say one in a lot of their sentences. Now let's talk about the Danderes. They are the shy, quiet, and or timid type, who often are very sweet and soft-spoken, but they are so antisocial they can sometimes be mistaken as rude or emotionless, except to their closest friends who get to know the real them. I like them because they kind of just mind their own business and don't get into too much drama. And when they actually work up the nerve to communicate with their crush, it usually goes well since they are often great people, like with Hinata from Naruto. Deroderes are just your typical anime girl, but that's not a bad thing. They often get love struck, are super sweet, and very energetic. They're one of the few anime girls that will openly express their affection for their love interest in a healthy way. But there is also the Megadere, who are just more extreme cases of the Derodere. They're straight up fangirls of their crush. Okay, here it is, the Yandere segment. One of the most notorious of all the Deres, but please keep watching after since I wasn't greedy and I didn't save her for last. Yanderes are like the opposite of the Sour Patch Kid candy. Instead of sour on the outside and sweet on the inside, they are sweet and nice on the outside, at least at first, because the more you get to know them, the more murdery and kidnappy they get. She will literally not allow anyone in your life who she sees as romantic competition. They live in this constant state of mental fluctuation of being a love-struck sweetheart to displaying extreme psychotic and often violent levels of devotion to their crush. Don't get me wrong, I get the Yandere yandere's appeal, and they are definitely fun to watch. But I think a lot of people who think they want a real life yandere might regret it when she eliminates one of your female family members who say they love you, or that one Starbucks barista who always makes your drink just right because she asked for your phone number at the register just so you can get your loyalty points. Yamagashi from Jojo and Toga from My Hero Academia are both yandere, but the most infamous is the yandere queen Yuno from Future Diaries, aka Mirai Nikki. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated types, the Mega Nico, the glasses waifu. They are often sweet and shy. Sometimes they're depicted as bookworms, or just someone who really nerds out about whatever their hobby is. Like if you ever asked Tashigi about a rare sword, you'd probably be there all night hearing about where it was from, where the metal was made, the complete history of the sword master who made it, which I honestly think is dope because I like anyone who is passionate about the things they like. I'm not ashamed of my interest, and neither should you be. Being too cool for things is overrated. The idol singer is more of a trope than a type, but it has become more mainstream in recent years. The anime girl who lives a double life. She's not always an idol, but is always the student by day, celebrity by night type. They really be on their Hannah Montana vibes. A bakadere is the ditzy, simple-minded type. They're always so sweet, and they really do mean well, but they are kind of just dumb when it comes to expressing themselves, which often leads to mishaps with their words or actions. I always find myself rooting for the bakadere. The most iconic one by far is Usagi from Sailor Moon. Now, don't get the bakadere confused with a bokadere. They are both the shy type, but this one will lash out to hide it. They don't mean to punch their crush in the face, it just kind of happens. Moeko, or the moe type, are usually the small and soft-spoken girl who tries really hard to get recognized by their peers or crushes. Their pureness makes people innately try to protect them. They often act like a child, whether it's intentional or not, doing things like throwing tantrums whenever they get rejected, which does tend to happen to them a lot because they are looked at like the younger sister by the protagonist, which in some anime might add to the appeal, but that's a whole nother type of genre that we'll have to get to in another video. But let's spice it up a little bit so you don't get bored. The Hiya Kasudere, or as they're often called, the Teasdere, because they get off on teasing or playing with their love interest emotions. They are mean but flirtatious. They might even humiliate their crush publicly, but they love hard and can be just as obsessive as the yandere, but more manipulative. There is even a more intense version of the Teasdere called the Sadodere. They straight up have a sadistic personality, getting turned on by the pain or confusion they cause their crush. The opposite of the Sadodere is the Masadore, which is the masochist type. They themselves are turned on by being scolded, disciplined, or humiliated, and are ironically even more pervy. Think Darkness from Konosuba. Do y'all even consider the maid girls an archetype? I mean, they can fall under any of the types, as there are plenty of maids with various personalities, sometimes several in a single anime. But then again, who's complaining? The more anime maids, the better, am I right? But I got one you might not have heard of. Have you ever crushed on a sleepy waifu? Well, they actually have a name, the Nimudere. They can and do spend a lot of their screen time sleeping no matter what their intentions are. Which, now that I think about it, Zoro might be a Nimudere. Next we have the Gurudere. They are like a mix between the Yandere and the Tsundere. This archetype sees their crush as a god, leaving many people to see the Gurudere as a counterpart to the Kamidere. Instead of idolizing themselves, they idolize their love interest and will do whatever it takes to make them happy. But if you want to make me happy and help me accomplish my own dreams of becoming the king of anime YouTube, just like this video and subscribe. The like goal for this video will be 101 likes. So if you want a type you should stay far away from, let me tell you about the Doroderes. They're straight up bad news. They act sweet on the outside, but secretly hold a lot of bad feelings on the inside, grudges, anger, or even vengeance. They are often very smart and extremely motivated at achieving their goals. The perfect example was Kikyo Kashuda from Classroom of the Elite. She scares the crap out of me. Yotadere equal alcoholic. You rarely ever see them on screen without a beer or sake in their hands, but for some reason they're like always designed super extra hot. It's gotta be a conspiracy. Vanessa from Black Clover, Kana from Fairy Tail, Rengoku from Bleach, or Masada from Evangelion? Woo! Okay, I'll stop, but I don't think I'm tripping. The mangaka are definitely doing this on purpose. I think I like them because they are and or seem a little more mature than the typical anime girl. And though they are wild at times, when the time calls for it, they can be really responsible. The next kind of girl is the Tsundere. They are very easy to spot because they are always like very sad all the time and extremely unmotivated. But the thing about them is that their depression isn't really caused by anything like a tragic event or condition. It's just who they are, and there's nothing wrong with that. When their sadness is caused by traumatic backstory, they are called the Utsuderes. And whenever the girl was really sick, they are called the Byokaderes. Byokaderes are defined as a very sweet and kind anime girl that suffers from a physical disease, usually a fatal one. I know I'm referencing One Piece a lot, but the first one that comes to mind is Usopp's crush Kaya, but there are plenty of examples. And last, but definitely not least, the Kitakadere, or as they're often called, the Thugdere. Basically, they bully or mistreat their crush. Sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, but usually both. But it's all in an attempt to hide their true feelings. And more often than not, we and their crush can see through the tough girl act. Deep down, they really care so much. And if the time comes, they will risk their own lives to save their crush. In a, hey, I'm the only one who can bully him kind of way. I hate to say it and I don't know why, but I've crushed on a few Thuggderees in my lifetime. Not sure what that says about me, and I probably have to talk to a therapist about it one day, but till this day, I have a sweet spot for Revy from Black Lagoon. But outliers like Revy aside, if I had to pick one type I would most like to date in real life, it would have to be a diet Tsundere or a Mega Nico. I say diet because I like someone who I can play fight with and stuff, but I don't want someone who's like full on beat me with a broomstick mean and is always saying how she doesn't even really like me. And Mega Nikos are cool because they are just really chill for the most part, but their personalities come alive whenever they're talking about one of their favorite things, which is really cute. And my least favorite, honestly, is the Doroderes, because I hate not knowing someone's true intentions and always wondering if I can even really trust them sounds exhausting. Okay, now it's your turn.